Hello and welcome to another video. So today I am doing
Another reading vlog.
Yay! And what am I reading? You probably know by now. Cricket Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo, the second book in the Six of Crows duology. I've already posted, I hope, the Six of Crows reading vlog. It should be somewhere up there or in the description, so if you want to check it out, please do, especially if you haven't read the first book and you want to watch this one. So there you go. This will have a spoilery section and a non-spoilery section, so hope you enjoy. Non-spoilery review. Obviously, if you want to read this book, you've read the first one, so what do you want me to say? Obviously, you're going to like it. It's a little bit different because the premise is not so much a heist, but recovering from the damage that Per Haskell and Pekka Rollins had done. But recovering from the damage that Per Haskell had done. No. But recovering from the damage that Van Eck had done. So it's kind of different, but also kind of the same. So I don't know if I'm explaining myself. You will definitely like this one if you like the other one. I will give it a 10 out of 10, I want to say, because I really liked it. I won't say I flew through it, but that was obviously it was my own problem because I spent my time on Animal Crossing instead of reading. But 9.5 out of 10 to 10 out of 10. It gave me all the feels. I am more in love with Cass and Inej than ever. It almost got me to cry, and honestly, not a single book on my bookshelf can say it made me cry. I've only cried once reading something, and that was reading a Teen Titans comic. So, I don't know what that means, but that's just how I am. And that's not to say I never cry, because with movies or TV shows, even sometimes with ads, I've been known to shed a tear. I cry so much with movies and TV shows, which is why I'm so looking forward to watching Shadow and Bone, because I'm pretty sure if it follows these set of characters, it's going to make me cry. By the way, this is definitely a reread. This will be the third time I read this book, so not that much for me. For a lot of people, that's probably like a freaking lot, because apparently a lot of people don't like to reread their favorite books. I'm like, then what? So I thought this was something that only happened in the first trilogy that Leigh Bardugo wrote, so the Grishaverse, but apparently it's something that she always does. I'm interested to see if she also does it in her next duology, King of Scars, but she starts off with a weird chapter. So in her first trilogy, it was before and after, so it was the same story about Alina and Mal, but told from a third-person perspective. So it was like the girl and the boy, and I didn't like those. But for the Six of Crows duology, instead of having that, we have the first chapter of each book, of the two books, that's just told from a random person's point of view. So I'm wondering, how will that translate to King of Scars? Just a fun fact. So one of the things that I find most interesting about the Six of Crows duology is that the first book is obviously dedicated to finding more about four of her main characters, and those are Cass, Inej, Matthias, and Nina. All of the drive that we put into the book to finish, to get to that heist, is to get to know more about them and to figure out why they are the way they are. We want to know what happened between Nina and Matthias. That's why we keep going through all those flashbacks. We want to know what happened to Cass that made him become the bastard of the barrel. We want to know what happened to poor darling Inej to put her in such a situation when she had to become a killer in order to survive. But we didn't have that as much for Jesper or Wylan. We saw why Wylan was doing things from other people's perspectives. We couldn't even get a point of view. But we did kind of see Jesper, if only a little bit. We saw his motives. But I'm wondering now, having read the book twice, what's going to happen to those characters during Cricket Kingdom? Because, as we said before, most of the story up until the heist in Six of Crows relied on them sharing their backstories and us readers wanting to know more about the characters. But now that we already feel like we know all of them and all their motivations, what's gonna happen? Because we still have a lot to learn from Wylan and from Jesper. We're going to get so many flashbacks and so much of their perspective. But when we get to Cass, Inej, Matthias, and Nina, it's all going to be like a completely different book for us because we've never experienced them without having to dig deep and uncover their layers. So I find that really interesting. And I think that's in part why Leigh Bardugo wrote the first book the way she did, why Wylan didn't have a perspective, and why Jespers felt the most lacking of the bunch, because he really got no development in that book. And in this one, I feel like we focus even more on the relationships of the other four. So Cass and Inej, their relationship is what's developed, instead of them as individuals, because they were already developed in the first book. And Matthias and Nina also get developed as a pair, since now they're more on even ground and aren't going to kill each other. So I feel like that's very interesting. Let me know if you've noticed this too. I think this is the first time I've noticed, even though this is my third complete reread of the series. But yeah, I'm just really interested in seeing what's gonna happen, if we're gonna find out even more about the characters' backgrounds, because I don't know why, Six of Crows, I remember everything that happens, every single important plot point, but for this one, no. So they just quarantined the town I live in for 2 weeks, which means I won't see my friends until 2 weeks from now, which means I dyed my hair. Because isn't that what a sane person would do? Hello, so that last clip was from Wednesday. Guess what today is? Monday, so it's been a while. To tell you the truth, I have not read a single page since I last updated you. So today I decided that I am going to clean out my closet. So what a better time to listen to the audiobook on 1.5 speed and get through as many pages as we can. Let's go! So I'm about to start part 3, brick by brick, and I have some thoughts. First of all, I did not remember that it took 100 and almost 50 pages for them to get Inej back? Like, what happens during the rest of this book if it takes so long for them to get their best character back? Like, I don't know. Also, I found my first reference to the Grishaverse trilogy. It's on page 123, and it's in Matthias' dream, because he's talking about how people can die like steps away from their tent during a very heavy snowstorm because no one can hear you and you can't see anything. And that is literally what happens to one of Mal's friends when they're looking for the stack of Morosova stag. Yeah, so I'm like, I feel like that's not such an obvious reference, because it's not even referring something, it's just saying something that the other trilogy also commented on, so pretty proud of myself for that one. That scene where Cass throws flowers and petals over Inej, and Inej like, oh, those are my mom's favorite flowers. Like, these are scraps, there's nothing, but I take anything from Inej and Cass. Like, I'll take anything, even if it's just like a tiny little dash of their relationship. I'll take anything, honestly. Like crumbs, I'll take them. I can't wait for that bathroom scene. You know the one. It's so good. Never mind what I said earlier, I lied to you guys. The first reference is actually on page 45, and actually 2 of the main characters in the Grishaverse trilogy are mentioned by name, Genya and David. So, the more you know. Okay, so I think that I've said it a couple of times, but I think the audiobook for these 2 books are incredible. I love the cast, but I have to say this, when Wylan is voicing Cass, his voice, oh my god, he sounds like the voice you make when you're trying to imitate someone but making fun of them. Cass has this very characteristic, raspy, kind of low voice, and the voice actor for Wylan just like can't get it, and it's so freaking funny. It sometimes takes me out of the story, but at the same time, it's kind of meta, because it's like if Wylan were telling us a story, it's probably the voice he would do for Cass, but it's just like,
Get her to birth me.
I'm trying to think of iconic Cass quotes, but they're all just like very angsty, like
Brick by brick.
I don't know, he just has so many angsty quotes and I remember none of them right now. But speaking of references, this book has so many references, but direct references like the ones I thought were going to be in the first book. So we finally met Soya again and Genya, whose name is pronounced Genia or something like that, which I'm not on board, so I'm still calling her Genya because that makes sense to me. And then Tamar, apparently, is pronounced Tamar. Like, let me know down in the comments whose side you're on, because if you're not on my side, I'm sorry, I'm right, you're wrong, shut up. Also, I think the Kinesh bathroom scene, it's coming and I'm not ready, but I want it. Don't get me wrong, I love Cass, but he is such an asshole. I think the last thing I said for my reading vlog was, Cass is such an asshole. And I stand by that, but every time he does something nice, it just brings like the biggest smile to my face, because he's also like very, 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 very deep inside such a sweetheart, and he cares so much about the people he loves. I love him and I love his character. I just finished it and man, that book, that ending always gets me. I was on the verge of tears so many times. I was thinking about this before because I've always had trouble figuring out why I like Cass and Inej so much and why I like them so much in comparison to the other couples in this book. But don't get me wrong, I love Matthias and Nina, although we all know how that ends, which is tragic and really sad, and also one of the times I teared up. I also love Wylan and Jesper, though they're the ones that get the least development, but they're still super cute, and I hope we can see more from them in the future. I'm pretty sure we're going to see Nina again, because she's going to Ravka, and King of Scars is set in Ravka, so hopefully we'll get Nina back and we'll see how she's dealing with the aftermath of this book. But going back to the reason why I love Cass and Inesh's relationship so much is because this is a YA book. And normally in YA books, the relationships, this is what I think. So this just might be me. But the relationships in YA are usually very revolvent around the fact that both characters are super into each other and super attracted to each other. And like, the cute scenes or the scenes that you remember most about them is their first kiss or their first makeout session or something like that, and that's like the thing that fuels your shipper heart, and I get that. Like, a good makeout scene and a good first kiss is great. But the thing with Cass and Inej is that they don't follow the normal formula for a YA couple. They don't even kiss. Like, throughout the duology, they haven't kissed. The closest thing to a first kiss they had is the first time holding hands, and let me tell you, I was screaming inside, like dying. My shipper heart was like overwhelming with feels, and I just have to give props to Lee Bardugo, because you don't see that kind of love and that kind of relationship represented in YA usually, especially in books and in fantasy, because I feel like whenever there's romance in fantasy, it's usually very focused on the two people being attracted to each other. So I'm very happy we got to see a couple like that in the mainstream, kinda, and that a lot of people saw them. So I'm really happy that this reached a very large audience, because obviously it was a #1 New Times bestseller, and I don't know, just that couple just brings so much joy to my heart. I don't know if Cass is asexual or whatever, but their relationship is just, it's so great. I love it so much. That was the end of the book. Now hopefully as soon as King of Scars gets here, I'll start reading it, because Rule of Wolves, I think that's what it's called, is coming out soon, and I want to have read it before that. I'm pretty sure Nina is going to pop up in there, and maybe Jesper and Wylan will too, because they've been talking. They were talking about going over to Ravka to learn to use Jesper's Grisha powers, so I don't know, hopefully we'll get to see the Crow Gang again. Obviously Sans, Matthias, like, so sad, but I don't know. At least it wasn't my two favorites. So sad. I feel so bad for Matthias, but honestly, you could really see that coming because his character arc was so clearly like taken care of, and it was tied neatly in a nice little bow, so you could tell something was going to happen to him one way or another. But yeah, that was it. That was me reading Six of Crows. No, that was me reading Cricket Kingdom for the third time in my life, probably in the last 5 years. So that was it, you guys. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please leave a like, leave a comment telling me if you've read this book or if you are going to pick it up sometimes in the future. I would highly recommend it, especially now with Shadow and Bone coming out in a few months. And please subscribe if you haven't yet, and click that bell notification if you want to get notified every time I post another video. I post twice a week, so you might want to click that bell so you get notifications, obviously. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!